Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. A very warm welcome to all my subscribers and all my viewers. As you already know that I have started a video series on the subject of business finance, and in the current series we are actually discussing financial ratios. So this is the third type of ratio that we will be discussing in this video. Let me tell you that this video will be included in the playlist of business finance. So you can go to my playlist and you can watch the previous videos related to business finance. Moreover, if you are a student of BBA, MBA, BCom, MCom, or CA, ACCA, if you are the students of accounts or accountancy, then these videos will be very helpful for you. The reason is that I am just making fundamental or basic level videos so that anybody who is interested to learn about the business studies, he can get benefit out of my videos. So without casting any delay, let's go to our video and start our today's discussion. Okay, as I told you, we were discussing about the financial ratios. So this is the third type of financial ratio, which is turnover ratio or assets utilization ratio. My style of teaching is on YouTube. My style of teaching is I will read from the book and then I will explain you in the easy wording so that you can be comfortable in understanding and digesting the basic concepts. Okay, turnover ratios are also called asset utilization ratio. As you might be, most of you might be familiar with the concept of turnover. Turnover means how much sales your business is generating, how much sales your business is making. This is called turnover. For example, you might have heard that the annual turnover was 1 crore or annual turnover was 15 million. So turnover, total number of sales, total volume of sales that your company is making or generating. So turnover ratios, the ratio in this section can be interpreted as a measure of turnover. What they are intended to describe is how efficiently or intensively a firm uses its assets to generate sales. Like how much efficient your firm is, that it should be efficient enough to convert your assets into sales. So if it is more efficient, then your turnover will be higher. And if it is inefficient or less efficient, then your turnover will be lower. Inventory and asset turnover, these concepts, what are these concepts? As long as we are not running out of stock and thereby foregoing sales, the higher this is, the more efficiently we are managing inventory. It says like you should not run out of stock and you should not sacrifice your sales because of your inventory turnover. So if your inventory turnover and asset turnover is higher, it is good sign for you. Asset turnover means your assets are converted into the sales. Your inventory is ultimately converted into the sales. So this ratio should be higher. The higher it is, the more beneficial and more fruitful it is for your business. Then the concept of receivables and inventory days. The lower this is, the lower the cash tied up in receivable or inventory, and quicker customer pay inventory is sold. If your receivables are lower, this is a good sign. It means your inventory is not actually tied up to the receivables, because receivables, those receivable means that you have to receive the cash or receive the money from somebody else. So this side should be lower. Okay, now we will go to the excuse me. We will go to the ratios. The sub ratio, first one is inventory turnover. How we calculate the inventory turnover? Cost of goods sold divided by the inventory. We have the value of CGS and we divide it by the inventory. For example, if CGS is 10 and inventory is 5, so our inventory turnover ratio will be 2. This is just for your understanding. This is just a hypothetical example. Then other ratio is days sales in inventory. Here we can find out the days in which, for how many days our and how much inventory is converted into sales in how many days. So we can calculate through day sales in inventory. Its formula is we divide 365 days in a year and we divide it by total inventory turnover. So if we know the inventory turnover, we can immediately figure out how long it took us to turn it over on average. We need to have the value of this inventory turnover and we will divide 365 by that value, and we will we will figure out how long it took us to turn it into uh, over an average we can find out. Then receivable turnovers are sales divided by our trade receivables. And what does this ratio tells us? This ratio allows us to see how fast we collect on our sales. However, this ratio may make more sense if we convert it into days. So we need to convert it into days, like how fast we can collect on our sales, we can collect money from our sales. So how fast we are actually generating the cash out of our sales, this ratio tells us. And it is better to calculate receivable turnover in days. So for calculating the receivable turnover in days, we divide 365 days by the receivable turnover. Same formula as I told you in the previous slide. Sometimes this ratio is also called average collection period or ACP. The same ratio, this is also known as ACP or average collection period. Then the last one in this ratio subtype is total asset turnover. Total asset turnover, we divide total sales divided by our total assets. For example, our sales is 1000 and our total assets are 100. So our total asset turnover will be 10. We will divide the sales 1000 divided by our total assets, which are 100. Okay. So I hope things would be easy for you to understand. I am just giving you a basic introduction, and in the later videos, in the coming videos, we will also solve the numericals, and by the solution of numericals, your concept will be more deep and you will understand more. Your concept will be uh, clarified definitely after doing the numericals. Then ratio number 4 is profitability ratios. What is profitability ratio? In one form or another, they are intended to measure how efficiently a firm uses its assets and manages its operations. Profitability ratio, basically you have to manage your assets and manage your daily basis, manage your operations on daily basis. Okay, the focus in this group is on bottom line is net income. The definitely when you efficiently use your assets, so what you are ultimately doing, you are ultimately converting your assets into the sales or into the cash, and which is the income. So the bottom line for profitability ratio is how much profit you are actually earning, and that profit is also known as the income. And then the concept of profit margin comes. Profit margin is equal to net income, how much income you are generating divided by your total number of sales. So it gives us profit margin. A relatively high profit margin is obviously desirable. Every business desires to increase its profit. So this is very obvious. No need to further discuss this. This situation corresponds to low expenses ratios relative to sales. And in other words, it means your expenses are the expenses ratio should be minimized as compared to your sales, or the ratio related to your sales should be higher. However, we hasten to add that other things are not equal. For example, lowering our sale price will usually increase unit volume, but will normally cause profit margin to shrink. It's saying that if we want to increase our sale, so we reduce our sale price. When our price is reduced, definitely our unit volume or sale increase, but profit margin on the other side, it shrinks. Okay, profit margin also reduces because we are lowering the price. So when you lower the price, ultimately profit margin will also get lowered, will lower. So total profit are more important. Operating cash flow may go up or down. So the fact that margins are smaller is not necessarily bad. Sometimes your profit margins are smaller, but you are selling huge volume. Your sales are very higher. So ultimately, it is profitable for you. However, high volume companies can be profitable with small profit margins. So the same thing, if your profit margin is lower, it is okay for you, it is good for you, but the condition is you should be high volume company. You should be selling huge bulks of products. Okay. Then another sub part in this ratio is return on asset. Return on asset formula for this is net income divided by total assets. For example, a company having assets are 5 lakh and income of 10 lakh. So 10 divided by 5, its return on asset would be 2. Same with the company B. So return on asset is measure of profit per unit cash of asset. Actually, it tells us how much profit you are earning from the assets per unit assets. Then return on assets varies according to industry. Definitely for different industry, return on asset is different. So this graph, you do not need to remember this, but this graph shows return on assets for two different companies. So we will skip it here. Then return on equity. Return on equity says net income divided by total equity. Return on equity is how much shareholders are getting benefit, or how much shareholders fared during the year, how much income your shareholders are actually benefiting from your company. So return on equity is a measure of how the shareholders fared during the year. Because benefiting shareholders is our goal, return on equity is true bottom line measure of performance in an accounting sense. So if your shareholders are happy for you, they are getting good equity from their shares, it means your return on equity is good, your shareholders are satisfied, your company is going in good profits. Okay. Let me complete my video here. In the next video, we will be discussing about market value ratios. I hope you are liking and subscribing my channel. So see you in the next video. Thank you.